What's up, Guardians? Welcome to another competitive Destiny gameplay video. And in this video I'm going to show you some of my highlights from the Skirmish playlist. Here's a Mark of the Unbroken, one of my favorite medals to get. And you'll see some unbroken footage and just some of my generally good games that I've had this past week. And I'm going to just share some of my own kind of tips as well for the Skirmish playlist, on top of the ones that I've already shared in another video. But yeah, I just figured this would be a little bit more of a casual upload, and I'm doing all of the commentary just kind of off the cuff, so none of this is planned out. I'm just kind of, I put all my highlights in here and figured I'd kind of talk about them as I go. So one of the things that is really important in the Skirmish playlist is super placement, and I would encourage you to one of the ways that people lose points the most in the Skirmish playlist is around team revives. So when you're reviving people in a bad spot, that can really ruin a Skirmish match. And then on the other side of that, if you can really capitalize on when the other team is trying to revive their guys, then you could really score some solid points too. So one of the things that you can do is, sniping people off the revive. Once you get that timing down, and some people say that's dirty. Yeah, I totally disagree. That's not dirty at all. If this was a paintball match and you can do revives, no one would feel bad about killing a guy if they were dumb enough to revive them right in front of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is just the way the match is played. Part of being a good player means knowing when to revive at a smart time. So one of the things that you can do is actually drop your super when guys are trying to revive each other, because that's a great time to get a nice multi-kill. Because sometimes, especially if you're a Void Walker or a striker, then getting multi-kills in Skirmish with your super can be a little bit more tricky and a little bit tougher. So, kind of like you've seen me do a couple of times in this video, if you get that timing down right, then you can get a lot of snipe kills right off of the revive. And yeah, I don't think that's dirty at all. I think that's on them. That's not on you. So you can't feel dirty for doing it if they're dumb enough to put their teammate in such a compromising position. So that's on them. This match here that you're going to see on Shores of Time, this was pretty much a 3-on-1 match. I had two other teammates, but between the two of them for the entirety of the game, they had 3 kills. And I ended up with 37, so I did die a handful of times, but that's kind of expected when you're going 3-on-1. At half the time, my teammates, as you see in these engagements, they're not even present. Like, they're completely somewhere else on the map. They're not, they're probably, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, just assume that maybe they're new to the Skirmish playlist. They're really trying to get a feel for where guys spawn and how the traffic flows, because it is much different than Control. So I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm not mad at them or raging at them. In fact, if I'm being entirely honest, I kind of preferred it that way. Sometimes I go into a Skirmish match and I secretly hope that both of my teammates quit out and it can't find a replacement, because sometimes I feel like it's just a lot of fun to challenge yourself to go 3-on-1, and it really is a blast. So with this, teammates right here, we grabbed the heavy. Our other teammates across the map, so I was not going to wait for him, especially when my opponents here, they weren't stupid. They were working the map, and they were traveling. Usually they were traveling together, and they were I think they were partied up, so I'm assuming that they were communicating. I think 2 of the guys were together, and then one of them was a rando. So yeah, controlling heavy. And I know this is such an obvious thing to say, but controlling heavy is huge. More so, I think, in Skirmish than in Control. Because the team that comes out on top with the heavy battle often can have heavy for the rest of the match. And the other team can really just be trying to catch their breath for the entire remainder of the match. And I'll show you here in a couple of clips away, there's some footage of me taking heavy from one spawn location and immediately rushing. It's kind of a high risk, high reward thing to do. I immediately rushed the other team's heavy and cleared them off of it before they could, pop it and all gather. So you see here, 37 kills, and then the other guys were 2 and 12 and 1 and 8. So I'm guessing they are new to the playlist, but I wasn't complaining. It was kind of fun. Here was a fun engagement. This was another game where it was kind of 1-on-3, but I wasn't complaining just because it was so much fun. And you know, they tried to get the revives here and then just kind of go to town, and really had a good time. So here's that footage I was telling you about, where I'm gonna pop this heavy, and I waited for my teammate. I waited a while actually. I waited for that teammate to get there, and so I wasn't being selfish about it. And then I immediately sprint up here to their heavy and try and clear them off of it. So I only see one guy that clearly got it, and I think that he popped it. I think he was waiting, but I think he popped it just because my other teammate was getting close and he could probably see red on his radar. Generally speaking, I normally do the same thing. If I see red, if it looks like it's one guy, then I'll probably still wait to pop the heavy, because I'm decently confident in my ability to go one-on-one with somebody and come out on top. But if it looks like, you know, 2 or more guys coming for a heavy, I'll just go ahead and pop it. So controlling heavy, here's another example of a bad revive. This guy, I would strongly caution you in the Skirmish playlist just to be really smart about when you revive. Here's another tip. Do not go into bottlenecks like this one. And you're going to see their team was all up in this little hallway. What a terrible place to be. I mean, yeah, he gets a super kill here, but I mean, trying to train on a target that's in a tight space is really easy to do. So, and then that guy dies from the Bloom. I love Bloom, I really do. If you haven't seen, I just uploaded a Warlock video, Voidwalker, and show you how Bloom really comes in handy. So anyways, that was like, what, I don't know, I wasn't counting, what, like 6 kills, just because they were so adamant about going through that really tight space. And so you really do have to be smart about how you travel the map. Also, another thing that I would tell you to be mindful of in the Skirmish playlist is that you can, it's kind of a gamble, but generally speaking, especially in the smaller maps, you can force your enemies to spawn where you want them to. So if you're in a group of 3, and I was doing this on Monday, I was doing this with a group of 3 guys I was playing Skirmish with, and we would wipe the enemy team, and this was on Exodus Blue, you know, smaller map. And so we would wipe the enemy team, and then immediately we would rush to one corner, or we kind of spread out across one half of the map so that we could try and force them to spawn in a position that's more advantageous for us. So depending on the weapons that we had equipped, a couple of us were using snipers, so we wanted them to be forced on the part of the map that had some of them were open sight lines that we can manipulate. And that's one thing that you can be really mindful of, and that you can use to your advantage, is actually forcing people to spawn where you want them to. So yeah, most of the footage here, you know, I'm just going solo. Sometimes it's fun to do that in Skirmish, just because I feel like when you go solo, you can get a lot more kills and kind of challenge yourself a lot more. But a couple of the games were also me partied up with a couple of friends of mine. One of them DOD, and the other one a guy from Resolute. Some good people.
Heavy ammo on the way.
And when you party up with people like that, you tend to get match made with some tougher competition. So it's also fun to challenge yourself in that regard.
Send them home.
Here, I was playing with a friend of mine, Battle. You've probably seen him in a lot of my vids. But I was on the phone with my tax guy, and this dude on the other team, as you see, I kind of had a rough start to this game. But he teabagged and danced. He killed me like 3 times at the beginning of the match, and then never again, because I was on the phone with my tax guy, and he was just, having a blast on my body. And you can't let it get under your skin, honestly. It's all in good fun, and this guy was just having a good time. So we kind of, for the rest of the match, I had him pretty well pinned down, and I sat on him once and danced with him once. It's all in good fun. You can't, especially when you're not playing super competitively, you can't allow people to get under your skin. I'm not raging. I'm not shooting his body or anything. Sometimes teabaggers can be obnoxious, but this guy wasn't doing it to be obnoxious. You could tell he was just kind of goofing off. So feel free to have fun, especially in the Skirmish playlist when it's just you and a couple other guys, and you know, you to the point where you memorize all of the enemy teammates' names, which doesn't happen a lot in Control either. It's 6v6. It's hard to be mindful of everybody, but in Skirmish, you almost feel like you get to know these guys a little bit better in a smaller arena. But anyways, here are some of the scoreboards from those games you just saw footage from. I hope you enjoyed the highlights. That was a little bit of a more even game because, like I said, I was playing with some friends of mine. That was the Unbroken. But I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter. And we generally just try to have a good time. I'm really appreciative for all the support and all the great people who support my channel, guys. You guys are awesome. Thanks.